Joining us this hour. Clashes have broken out in the U.S. city of Baltimore following a funeral ceremony for a black man who died of a spinal injury he sustained during arrest.
I mean, people just tired, man, of the police brutality. The police brutality, but it shouldn't reflect on a community like this, and the police should be more organized.
Several arrests were made as baton-wielding white police used tear gas and pepper spray to disperse the rock-throwing protesters in Freddie Gray's funeral. At least 7 police officers were wounded. One of them is now in critical condition. The Justice Department has opened an investigation into Gray's death, which once again sparked anger over police brutality across America. 25-year-old Gray was arrested on April the 12th and died a week later. As discussed this further by speaking to Chris Dorsey. He's a civil rights activist, and he joins us via Skype from Richmond. Many thanks for joining us here on PressTV, Mr. Dorsey. Now, first of all, when it comes to situations like that of Freddie Gray, and we're seeing the type of anger on the streets of the U.S., what do you make of it? Why is it that Eric Garner, Michael Brown, now Freddie Gray, these names keep coming up?
Well, thank you for having me. This is the most important discussion I think we've had on this channel. You named several individuals, Michael Brown, Freddie Gray, and that's just a short list. That's just what gets focused on by the media. There have been more Americans killed by the police over the past 5 years than Americans killed in a war zone in both Iraq and Afghanistan. So that tells you why there's anger at the police, is because the police have declared war on Americans, and not only do they kill Americans by the thousands, they get away with it and nothing happens to them. As of yet, there have been limited consequences, I should say, to be exact, but that is just, a large, important piece of the puzzle in regard to the fact that the institutions that control the United States government are the most criminal on the planet, and they have absolutely no legitimacy under the law, and that the United States government is a failed state and unlawful and treasonous, and society is breaking down because folks can see through the fraud, and they're tired of having war carried out against them with no response.
Right now, Mr. Dorsey, when you watch mainstream Western media right now with regards to these protests in Baltimore, they're highlighting the lootings, the burning of police cars,
right,
etc., as a way to show how the police are justified in what they are doing, and these protesters are nothing more than just hooligans who are out to create problems and not adhere to the law. Do you see it that way?
Absolutely not. And I'm glad you pointed out that this is from the media, and I would say not just Western media, because it's specifically corporate-owned media. And the corporations that control the police, and that control the military-industrial complex, and that control the banking industry, they're the same ones that control the AP, the UPI, CNN, MSNBC, Comcast, Fox, you name it. They've got a Zionist agenda, and they're pushing forward the Zionist talking points. And the Zionist talking points are that this is just rowdy, ne'er-do-wells that, deserve anything that happens to them, and that the police are justified in taking these folks out. But what in reality is happening is that the police and the military and the government are setting up these riots. In Ferguson, we saw agent provocateurs, torching the buildings and storefronts in the city of Ferguson. The police knew that this stuff was coming and they allowed it to fester. The mayor of the city of Baltimore is saying like, hey, it's okay to destroy things. But we've set forward a different agenda, and the militia, which is not doing anything but advising at this point because you haven't seen any shots fired in Maryland, is advising, if you're going to protest and if you're going to go after the system, if you're angry at the system, there's a branch of the Richmond Federal Reserve Bank in Baltimore. We've given you the address. Go to the chief of police's house. Surround his house. Go to where the wealthy are. These folks, they're just being set up by the police to destroy their own neighborhood. This is all pre-planned, and it's all a part of a military offensive called Jade Helm, which is in effect right now throughout every single one of the United States. And this is to set up for martial law, which is what you see in Baltimore right now, what you've seen in Ferguson
quickly, if you can,
and
Mr.
Boston.
Dorsey, let's not forget that the African Americans make up a significant chunk of the population in the United States. Now, by demonizing, victimizing these people, what does the government of the United States hope to achieve?
To divide and conquer, really. They're setting up like they do in every scenario, like when they, when the owners of the banks play Iran off of Saudi Arabia. It's just a tactic of the Zionist international banking cartel, the New World Order, the folks who pull the strings, whatever you want to refer to them as. It's to divide amongst the races, when the real problem is with the owners and officers of the institutions that control the government. The 1% is the problem. It is not a racial issue. The races need to unite and go against the leaders of the 1%. The wealthy is the target, not different races.
All right, let's leave it there for now. That's Chris Dorsey, civil rights activist, joining us via Skype from Richmond. Many thanks, Mr. Dorsey, for joining us here on Press TV.
Thank you very much.
And no end in sight to Saudi Arabia's military campaign.
Mr. Dorsey, it was awesome as always, sir. Thanks so much.
God bless. Thank you very much.
You take good care. Thanks,
all right,
bye.
you the same.
Applications at the Capitol Sun